Hey playa, I know how much it can suck to be in the friend zone simply because I've been there before. I've told the story of my worst friend zone experience before, but now here is the aftermath. How does one move on from being in the friend zone? Well, this is what I did, so hopefully you can do the same thing too.
This is the Josh Speaks. You're watching the Josh Speaks.
The last time I spoke about my friend zone experience, I told you guys how I gave my crush a note saying how I felt about her, and she gave me one back saying, "Let's just be friends." From there, she met a guy online, they hung out together, and when I saw them hanging out, I took the note that she gave me and threw it at her, only to see it fly very softly in the wind. I was done being friends with her, but the very next day at school, she asked me if I would forgive her, and of course I said, okay. And this is where we pick up the story. She knows I like her, and she knows we can't be just friends, yet I'm gonna see her every day and talk to her as if we just are. I was hurt and upset because I had no chance with her, and I blame it all on the Gordo Approach. For those of you that don't know, the Gordo Approach is named after Gordo from the Disney Channel show Lizzie McGuire. Back in the day, I was obsessed with the show Lizzie McGuire, and what I noticed was that Lizzie's best friend Gordo was the guy who was always there for her. Whenever she had problems at home, figuring herself out, or even talking to the guy that she liked, Gordo was always there to share his wisdom and insights as a best friend. In the Lizzie McGuire movie, Lizzie goes off to Italy and gets confused with an international pop star, but all the while Gordo is there by her side, loving her but never expressing it. And the way the story ends is with Lizzie finally realizing that all this time she didn't like the cute guys in her school or the international Italian pop stars, she liked her best friend, she just didn't see it. Thus, the Gordo Approach. This is the idea that if you're never direct about your feelings with your crush, but just act as their best friend, eventually they'll realize that you're the perfect person for them. This is the tactic that I settled on, and it blew up in my face. And that's simply because I never expressed how I felt. And when I did, it was already when she had mentally put me in her friend category. So what happened after that day where we decided to be friends again? Well, I noticed she started spending a little bit more time around one of my best friends who was snarky and sarcastic with her. The difference between me and him is that when I interacted with girls, I did it from a place where I felt intimidated. I never wanted to say anything that might disrupt the situation or cause them to respond back in a sarcastic way. For him, he wasn't intimidated by girls. He would call them out on things, he would make fun of them, he would come up with little nicknames for them, and they loved it because they would do the same right back at him. And that's when I started to notice that whenever it was me, him, and my crush, she would spend most of the time joking around with him, and I would just stand around and watch. The type of connection they had bothered me and made me feel jealous, but what really bothered me was when she asked me if he liked her. When she said that, I had it. I flipped out on her and asked her how she could do this to me, and by the end of that conversation, I was able to guilt her into going out with me on a date. I told my friend that he was forbidden from talking to her because any kind of positive conversation they would have would hurt my chances. But I was still slightly happy because out of pity, she did agree to go with me on a date. So after school one day, I went to go get pizza with her. Given everything that had been going on between us, it was an awkward experience, but we made our way through it. I didn't make a move, I didn't really do anything that was out of the ordinary. The next day in school, she said she had fun, but just reiterated the fact that she felt we were better off as friends. At that point, I had to accept it. I was faced with two potential choices. One is to choose to be her friend, to put my romantic feelings aside and to just be a loyal, good friend, or two, just get her out of my life. And the thought of not having her in my life made me feel incomplete, so I of course went with option one and just decided to be her friend. From there, months had passed and we continued being friends. So one day she had invited me and a bunch of my friends to head over to her neighborhood to hang out with her. This was during the winter time where there was tons and tons of snow, so the buses were taking forever to come. And as me and my friends waited, we decided to walk from bus stop to bus stop, closer to our destination, waiting for this darn bus. It was an incredibly cold and tiring journey, and at some point my friends wanted to just go home, but I told them we couldn't because she called me and asked me to come hang out with her. Even though I knew we were just friends, I still held on to the hope that if I invested time and effort in seeing her, she would turn around. And after 2 hours of walking in the cold and snow, we eventually got to the mall right by her house where we were supposed to meet up with her. So we walked inside, I pulled out my phone and realized it died. I had no way of contacting her and I didn't know what to do. Luckily, I had her number memorized because I had called her so much in the past, but neither of my friends had cell phones, so we had to figure something else out. There were payphones on the wall and I was stressing out because I didn't have any change to call her when a cop came over and decided to give me a quarter to make the call. I think he saw that I was a teen suffering from one-itis and he wanted to do all that he could to help me. So I rushed over to the phone, put the quarter in, picked up the phone to call her and waited for her to pick up. And when she finally did, I told her, "Hey, we're here at the mall." And then she responded with, "Oh, it's so late now. I don't really want to go outside. Can we just meet up another day?" I decided to just pretend like it wasn't a big deal, hung up the phone, and told my friends, "Okay guys, I guess we can go home." Anyway, later on that year, we ended up graduating and moving on with our lives, but I continued to tell this story for years to come to warn people of my mistakes. And from here, we can fast forward years and years into the future to a very specific moment where I got caught in the same trap. For those of you that don't know, one of my best friends was on a TV show called Married at First Sight, where he married a stranger at the altar that he met for the first time. Everything worked out and it was amazing, so they continued to record into their first year of marriage. At the start of the show, he had first entered the fire academy, but at this point he was ready to finally graduate. So me, my brother, his wife, and the entire camera crew went to go watch it. It was an awesome experience. Here we were walking around with this big camera crew when suddenly I got a message from the girl. Over the years I had talked to her here and there, but we mainly kept our lives separate from each other until this day. She told me that she was also at the graduation for her boyfriend and that she would love to meet up with me to catch up again. And that's when it hit me. This was it. This was the moment after so many years that I can show her that I finally moved on and I made it. I told her we could meet up for a little bit after the ceremony because we had to run and go do some important TV show stuff. So once the ceremony was done, I stood there in the hallway and waited. A few minutes went by and people were clearing out and the camera crew was standing around thinking, well, what are we waiting for? Let's head over to the car and get ready for our next scene. And I told the camera crew, hey, look guys, just give me a minute here. I gotta do something really important. We waited another 5 minutes, so eventually the camera crew went to the van to go pack up along with my brother, my friend, and his wife. And I just kind of stood around waiting. And after another 5 minutes, I shot her a message and said, hey, I'm hanging out here in the hall. You gonna come by? To which she responded, hey, sorry, I'm not gonna be able to make it. Maybe next time. And my heart sunk once again. Why? Why did I try to convince myself that I was able to move on when in actuality I was still hung up over everything? It made me realize this, that even if you move on from someone, you still carry a little bit of those feelings with you. But the important thing is to not allow those feelings to interrupt your day-to-day life. There will always be times where you think about that person and feel that way again, but feelings come and go, and you should allow that to be a natural process. You know, when we talk about escaping the friend zone, we often think of it as a way to flip our crush to get them to start liking us, but that's not exactly what it means. Escaping the friend zone simply means being able to move on with your life without letting your feelings for that person dictate your actions and your behaviors. I know a lot of you have reached out to me about being in the friend zone and trying to find ways to make it work between you and your crush. But the reality is, if they're not interested in you and they just see you as a friend, the best thing to do is to move on with your life. I know you can do it, and I want to help you get there. As always, guys, love and peace.